What's up, guys? Welcome back to GoldClassGaming. Today I'm here with...
Hey, it's Griffin Phillippi.
And what did you do today?
I just made top 16 YCS Fort Worth.
All right, and what were you playing today?
Striker, go second.
Go second striker, all right. So we've seen that there's some Draco striker and a lot of other pure striker.
You gotta remind me of the
in the top cut. So why did you pick go second over any other version of striker?
I feel like, okay, the fact that strikers you got cards like Widow Anchor, Afterburners, Jamming Waves, all cards that don't do anything going first, but are just really good going second. Plus the fact, it's just, all you really need to do with striker is survive a couple turns until you get multi-roll up and running, and you're just like generating so much advantage. The most important thing is surviving those first couple turns, and by going second, you've basically given yourself a free turn of just being alive and getting to the mid and late game.
Yeah, well, let's hop right into it. What you got here?
Well, I mean, obviously, striker, start out with a 3 Sky Striker Ray because it's Sky Striker, like, it's just your main engine card.
You know, it's the obvious stuff.
And then since it's going second, I decided to play 3 Pankratops in the main, but honestly, it didn't really come in too handy today. Like, Baelink, Stingirsu, the fact that Ray is a card if you go against the mirror match, it's, honestly, if I played this in the future, if Striker somehow survives the ban list, I absolutely would not play Pankratops, at least not in the main deck. And then rounding out the monsters was just 3 Ash Blossoms, because, I mean, it's, like, generally you want your hand traps to be pretty impactful, but, like, Ash is at least something that hits pretty much every deck in the meta. You can hit an Engage, you can hit a Gazelle, you can hit a Harpur, and so Ash is just, it's good against everything. You never don't want it in game 1.
Definitely.
And so that's the monster count, low as could be expected. Spells, 3 Engage.
A surprise to no one.
Surprise to no one. 3 Widow Anchor. Again, it's pretty much their second best non-multi-roll spell. I played 2 Shark Cannons because the main decks I was expecting were the Mirror Match, Orcust, and Salamangreat. Obviously, it's good against the Mirror Match to get rid of Ray or to steal a Kagari. It's good against Salamangreat to get rid of their things like Spinny or Jack Jaguar. And against Orcust, obviously, all their stuff revolves around the graveyard.
Yeah.
So I felt like Shark Cannon was a good choice in this meta. 1 Eagle Booster, mainly just for the mid and late game to stay alive or to, like, if you're in the Mirror Match, to protect yourself from a Widow Anchor, possibly. 1 Hornet Drones, an extra path to your Link monsters. What I honestly think is possibly the best card in Yu-Gi-Oh! Right now, like, multi-roll is ridiculously degenerate in my opinion. The fact that it not only makes your spell speed 4, so if you have a hand of like a couple engages, they cannot ash anything, but the fact that it has that spellbook of judgment type effect in the end phase, allowing you to go like as much as +5 and just do this turn after turn is ridiculous. I think multi-roll is incredibly broken.
Yeah.
And then 1 each of Afterburners and Jamming Waves, you know, just in-engine spot removal, just general good cards for going second. 1 Hercules base, I really didn't want to play this card, and I was debating on it like up to the night before the YCS. It's like, yeah, it recycles things, but it's such a dead draw. It's a card you never really want to see, and I played it. It didn't really. I could definitely see myself cutting this in the future.
All right.
Only 2 Area Zeros, because honestly I find 3 can be bricky, and honestly that was the main reason. I've like done some testing, and it at 3 it's not really necessary, especially since you've got a terraforming.
Yeah, absolutely. Anyway. So you're playing 3 effectively anyway.
Effectively. 2 Foolish Goods, just basically as extra upstart goblins when you send Metal Foes Fusion.
Were there any times that you ever sent anything aside from Metal Foes Fusion?
No, never.
Never?
I mean, because unless you're sending something off Hayate, you never really want something other than Metal Foes Fusion in grave.
Alright.
Rhoda, just to search for Ray. Upstart, just to get a spell in grave. For going second, 3 Mind Control is absolutely busted. Like, this
card has been popping up all weekend in these Go Second decks. This card's absolutely insane.
I mean, in the mirror match, you just take their links and link away with them, and it doesn't trigger Ray. Against Orcust, you can force the Crescendo by targeting their Galatea. Against Salamangreat, you can do the same and force the Roar by targeting Sunlight Wolf if they've only got the 1 link on field. And it contributes to OTKs as well by just taking something and making it into a Boral Sword or something. Like, this card is, like, I think one of the best Go Second cards in this format. And then another great card, I played 3 Cosmic Cyclones. Again, it's good against what I thought were going to be all 3 of the top all the top 3 decks, Striker, Salamangreat, and Orcust. Like, Striker, it removes multi-roll in a way that they absolutely cannot get it back ever. Salamangreat, you just say goodbye to Bale Links, because I can't protect their will. And then Orcust, because Dingirsu can't protect against it, so you force the counter trap.
Yeah.
Cosmic Cyclone is another card that Cosmic Cyclone and Mind Control were easily my best non-striker cards all weekend. And then another card that was like, I was at 37 the night before, and I was like, what else can I put in? I was thinking about Evenly Matched, but I eventually decided on Mystic Minds, just because it's a good stall card to just like, sometimes you're down an advantage, but you're like, my deck has a better engine. If I can just get into my engages, I'll just sit under Mystic Mind for 15 turns.
How often did mine win you a game, if it ever did?
Round 2, I think it was. I was playing against Gren Maju, and game 3. I just activated a Mystic Mine on him, and I just sat on it for like 15 turns because I wasn't drawing anything, but he wasn't drawing anything either. So we eventually got to time me just sitting under Mystic Mine. Like, the card is degenerate, but I mean, worked for me.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the main deck, all 40.
All 40 cards?
Thought it was pretty solid.
Yeah.
And now extra deck. 1 Kagari, of course. Recycle your engages, just really good. 3 Shizukus, just search engage in the end phase if you haven't got it already. Combos well with multi-roll to add engage after you've set it off multi-roll, or to add a Widow Anchor, activate and set it with multi-roll. Just all-around good card. I was playing 3 Hayates up until like a week before, and I feel like the problem with playing so many striker cards in the extra is that you leave out room for like techs. And I felt like to top it a YCS, you need tech cards to be able to like actually diversify against the field. You can't just play your game; you have to be able to counter other people's games as well. So I cut it to 2 Hayates because it's a good card. And it works. It combos really well with Mystic Mine, but it's not so good in the late game once you don't want to be sending things. Just 1 Kaina, mainly for the name. The effect to make to gain life points or to make something unable to attack never really came out for me this weekend. I think 1 is fine. Haita, basically, it's really good in the mirror match to steal your opponent's Kagaris, and just you can make it with an Ash or with whatever you want. Like, Haita's just another good tech card, helps you build up into OTKs. Phoenix, just again spot removal. It's a generic link 2 that you can make if you've stolen something. Unicorn, again, it's pretty generic. It's just spot removal, something you can link things away into. It's got an arrow pointing down, which can be relevant sometimes. Ningirsu is a card that I think is really necessary right now with Luna Light existing, just because untargetable and indestructible. Like, Ningirsu and I think Boral Sword are the only things that can really out a Panther Dancer, or a Lackluster Soldier of Chaos for that matter, because a lot of people are making this against Striker, and you can also make it in Striker, especially if you're playing Pankratops like I am, because a Soldier of Chaos late game, once you're in a low resource game state, it essentially wins you the mirror match.
How often was Soldier of Chaos just like the end-all, ended games for you?
Just once, because I only made it once, but it was in the Striker mirror match. Yeah. And you make Soldier of Chaos, you back it up with an Eagle booster, and they essentially cannot out it. 1 Bomber Dragon, just a relatively generic link 4 with easy materials in case I like steal a Girsu or something. Sorry. I never made it, but I never felt like I would wanted something else instead. Boral Sword, obviously this thing ends games. Like, with Widow Anchor, with Shark Cannon existing, you can make Boral Sword Dragon pretty easily, and I think this, after all the Striker cards, obviously, and Ningirsu, I think this is the most important card in the extra deck, just because Striker struggles to put pressure so much. And then for the final card, I played Mega Fleet because I was expecting some Cyber Dragon Orcusts. I only played 2 Cyber Dragon Orcusts all tournament. One of them, he made the Infinity, he had the Dingirsu in his extra zone, and then he absorbed the Dingirsu, so I couldn't make Mega Fleet anyways. He said he'd been Mega Fleeted already like 3 times the tournament, and he was playing around at that point. So, like, I didn't feel like it was a bad choice to include it, it just never came up. So yeah, that's the extra deck. And the side deck, I just played 3 of 5 different cards because I feel like that makes for the easiest like siding patterns. I played 3 Lancia for the various Orcus variants I figured I would see, but I didn't play much Orcus, so this only came in a little bit. It only came up once in a match against Cyber Orchest, but I wasn't able to capitalize since I didn't have engine cards anyways. But it's still a good card. I wouldn't replace it essentially. Shared Ride, pretty much entirely for the mirror match, and it is incredibly good in that just because you essentially set them back a turn with it, or you force them to take a weaker version of the Max Seed challenge. Like, this is definitely something, if Striker still exists, I would keep citing this. And then Twin Twisters, also for the mirror match, or for random back row decks like Altergeist, it's Twin Twisters, it moves back row, it does what it does it well.
It says pop 2, you know?
Yeah. There can be only one for Salamangreats and for non-Lunalite Orcus variants, because you can play under it relatively well, they can't. And then more Floodgates. Summon Limit. I don't think most traps are good in Striker other than Floodgates, so that's why just the only ones in the Summon Limits for Orcus and Salamangreat again. Yeah, I mean, the theory behind it was sound. It came in and won me a few games, and it's another card you can play under. I think Summon Limit's another just a good card.
Yeah. In hindsight, were there any changes that you'd like to make?
Not to the side deck, no.
Okay.
Mainly, I didn't really like Pankratops or Mystic Mine all that much. I just don't know what to replace them with.
That's true. Any shoutouts?
I forgot these one over here. Just the fine folks on the USSR and on the r/Yu-Gi-Oh! Discord server, and to Tim Hutchison, my man who helped me get all these cards, and
all right.
And to GoldClassGaming.
Congrats on your top 16. Hopefully you can get another top in Pasadena, right?
I'm gonna try for it.
All right. Well, and thank you for watching, and I'll see you all next time.